Okay, make sure that chair is comfortable.
Well, I kind of want the mic to go higher here, but it keeps falling downward.
Yeah? Okay, let's see if we can fix that.
All right, yeah, I'm good.
Good?
Yeah.
All right. So, General Maximus, what's your brand for today?
I have Coca-Cola, but it's zero sugar. It's zero sugar Coca-Cola.
Okay. You rocking it in your Mandalorian mug?
It's Boba Fett, but yeah.
Oh, Boba Fett. Okay. Got it. I'm having coffee today since we're recording this at 11 a.m. Not going to have our traditional drinks that I usually have with my other co-hosts of the Brown Bulletin. But special edition today, we're talking to Max Man. What do you want to talk about, buddy?
Well, one of my favorite TV shows is Clone Wars, a Star Wars show. So, and one of the main things I've been wondering about is like in Clone Wars, like I don't know what it is, like season 3 or season 4. Like during the middle of the season, in like one episode, we see Ahsoka Tano with her one green lightsaber. And then a few episodes later, we don't see her. Like for the next 3 episodes, we don't see her. And then in the 4th episode, we see her again and she has 2 and she's a bit older. But I'm really concerned why like it doesn't give us like one episode where she gets her second lightsaber. Because we know, like, if you get a second lightsaber, you maybe have to, like, go through special training to see if you're worthy of it and stuff. So, yeah. But that's just one of the things I've really, really never gotten.
Okay, so break that down for me. Why does Ahsoka have 2?
What?
Why does Ahsoka have 2 lightsabers?
I don't know. I guess because like she's just like very agile, very quick, very like Jedi, and she likes holding her lightsabers backwards. So it's better it's just better if you have 2 lightsabers. Then you can kind of just move it and block it.
How many other Jedi have 2?
I saw in the Battle of Geonosis, one Jedi had 1 green and 1 blue, holding them backwards style like Ahsoka.
But there aren't any other Jedis that have 2.
No,
the most famous of all don't have any.
Yeah.
I suppose Darth Maul had 2.
Well, he had a double-sided, but if you cut in half the right area, so it didn't like cut the crystal, maybe like yes, he could technically have 2. Because we saw in Obi-Wan Kenobi that the Inquisitor's third sister had one of the Inquisitor lightsabers, like the spinny ones, and when it got Vader cut in half, and there was still 2 end of the blades. It was just like 3 prongs, kind of. So I guess you could say that if you split a double lightsaber in half, it would still like work, but that's just what I'm saying. So
Luke only had 1, Darth Vader only had 1, Obi-Wan had 1, Yoda had 1, Count Dooku had 1,
Sidious had 2.
Okay.
Well, he had 1 when
he had lightning hands, right?
Yeah, the lightning hands. Sidious had 2 when in a certain episode where he fought Darth Maul and Darth Maul's apprentice, Savage Opress, one of Darth Maul's kind. So he had 2, but they were the exact same lightsaber as the one we saw he have in Revenge of the Sith. So maybe he just lost 1 at some point, or they only decided to take out one of them when he fought Mace Windu and the other Jedi. So, yeah, that's just one of my questions. You have a question, Daddy? Or
no, but I'm interested in the idea of generations because my Star Wars is episode 4, 5, and 6, as you know them.
Yeah.
And I got a little interested in episode 1 2, and 3. And I would have to say that 3 and 6 are my favorites because of the amount of swordplay. But you grew up with the Clone Wars.
I grew up through the Clone, yes.
So
and
your
Last Jedi.
Star Wars is the Clone Wars.
Yeah, my Star Wars is Clone Wars, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, which recently came out about a year ago.
Right.
I don't know.
And of the 9, which one's your favorite?
Of the 9, I'm going to have to go with you. I want to say either Rogue One, because I personally love space battles in Star Wars. I've always loved them and one of my all-time favorites. But I also have always loved, just like you, Daddy, I love Revenge of the Sith because of the sword battles. I have to say the sword battle between Count Dooku, Anakin, and Obi-Wan, how Anakin said, like, my powers have doubled since our last fight on Geonosis, because that's what happened. That was their last fight, because they're not talking about the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, in the Clone Wars, they have had many battles, but that's just what Obi-Wan, that's just like what he meant by that, because we're saying because Clone Wars were made after that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I like Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One. I liked the space battles in number 9. And the space battles and the lightsaber battles, I liked the one on the old Death Star between them. I liked how they brought in, I love how they brought in this, I've never seen this lightsaber before in my life, other than, well, actually I kind of have. But in episode 9, we saw Rey meet her dark side.
Mm-hmm.
And she had this very unique double-bladed lightsaber that had, like, it was double, but you could unclick it.
And a hinge on it. Yeah.
A hinge on it that came together. We've seen that twice in the movies, in the shows. Actually, only in the shows. We've seen one in Clone Wars Season 5 with General Pong Krell. He had, like, the retractable, like, flip lightsabers.
Season 5.
It's
Which one do you think? You're looking at about 20 episodes a season, so it's kind of tough to keep track of them all. And I know you do watch a lot of Clone Wars, but what do you think? Do you think you know which one?
Hold on, let me take a look.
So you look at the episode listing there, would be the second column. The ones that start with 5 would be season 5.
What do you mean the ones that start with 5? Oh.
See these here? These start with 5, so these would be season 5.
Oh, that's
now,
what they meant.
The weird part is 501 is down here between 13 and 14, so you have to pretend that 501 is up here. But this is a full episode listing. So for those of us listening at home, we have currently 7 seasons.
Well, maybe if you try, I don't know if you can do this, but if you try looking up like the certain episode, so maybe try looking up like Pong Krell Clone Wars episode or something.
Pong Krell?
Pong. Pong. Kerel. Or it will show up. Pong Krell.
Pong Krell. Oh, so he's got 2 doubles.
He's got 2 double flip lightsabers.
Into the mic, buddy.
Yeah, he's got 2 double flip lightsabers.
Okay.
Like the ones that like have the hinges on them.
And he looks kind of like a frog.
Yeah, it's kind of like a frogish. He has 4. Yeah, as you can see, he has 4 arms. He has the 2. His lightsabers are much. His hilt lightsabers are much larger, and the blades are much larger than him because he is much larger than normal creature and like normal Jedi.
Yeah, so according to the Star Wars fandom wiki, Pong Krell was a basilisk male Jedi master who during the Clone Wars served as a Jedi general in the Grand Army of the Republic. However, by the time of the Battle of Umbara, Krell foresaw the end of both the Jedi Order and the Galactic Republic, and he sought to join the new order that was to come. So what was the new order?
The new order probably would have been, well, the Empire.
What we refer to as the Empire.
Yes, but before, in the final episode of the Battle of Umbara, there's like 4 of them or something. The clones found out he was evil, and they tried to stop him. Many clones died in the process, but they captured him, and they put him in prison, and they executed him. They shot him in the back.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's a dark one here of him, but he kept on to his colored lightsabers. He never got red ones?
Well, as far as we know.
Did he never become a Sith?
He never became a Sith. Before he escaped, he was captured and killed.
Got it. Okay.
So, yeah. But I bet he would have changed it to double reds if he had escaped.
Yeah, because he's got 2 doubles and he's got 4 arms.
Yeah, so that's in the movie. We see him like in slow-mo and stuff. Like I've seen slow-mo videos of this battle, and like he flips them and stuff, and then catches them in his bottom arms. And then he flips them around his back and stuff. He's such a big creature, but his lightsabers are so big. I don't know how he doesn't cut his his body off or something at points.
That's probably one of the more interesting questions is what happens if a Jedi ever drops or touches himself with his lightsaber? Do they heal? Or is that it? The arm's gone?
I think it would be, that's it. The arm's gone.
That'd be a fun conversation. How many Jedis have artificial limbs like Luke and Anakin because they cut off their own appendages? Think about it. You're swirling around your sword. All of a sudden you drop it. I get it. You use the Force. I get it. But at some point, you're going to make a mistake, right?
You drop it, it turns off, you pick it up, you're still spinning, then a bit later, oh look, my arm's gone. Can't get it now. But every single arm that we've seen get cut off has been cut off from the enemy with the lightsaber that we've been fought. So in episode 2, when Anakin lost his arm, he paused and Count Dooku came in and swung his arm off and took his arm off. And then also in episode 5, of course, Darth Vader took Luke's arm off.
Right. But never the wielder.
No.
Never the one who's holding the lightsaber.
No.
Okay. All right. Besides Pong Krell, who's your other favorite character?
Well, he's not my favorite. She's just a very interesting character.
Any others you want to talk about?
Well, with the double-bladed, the hinged lightsabers, if you search up like in Rebels, in Rebels, there's one episode where Kanan, Ahsoka, and Ezra go to go to an abandoned Jedi temple. Yeah. And Kanan goes through this portal that only he can see, and he walks through, and it's like
You having trouble with that mic, pal?
Yeah, there's temple guards. There's like temple guards that are inside of it, because it's a big training room for Jedi. And there's like lightsabers and stuff that are mounted on the wall. And there's lightsabers and stuff that are mounted on the wall. There's big training sabers, like sticks and stuff. Mm-hmm. And
there you go.
There's 3 temple guards that come in, and one of them is, of course, it's just like a hallucination and stuff, but one of them is an Inquisitor that they killed at the end of season 1. So and the Inquisitor, in fact, actually used to be a temple guard, so it's nice that, like, after he died, he kind of went back as a Force ghost or something, or as, like, a hallucination, and, like, was turned back into a temple guard just to see Kanan again and remind him that it's a dangerous galaxy and stuff.
I'm thinking we should get you a different chair. You struggling with that one?
Kind of, yeah.
You want to get the wooden chair from Mom's office?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we pause and we'll go do that. Okay, so you were saying?
So what I was saying is in sometime in between, like in season 2 of Rebels,
Right.
there is an old, Kanan meets an old Inquisitor he already defeated at the end of season 1, and he has a yellow-bladed retractable lightsaber, like a double-bladed, like hinged lightsaber.
Like the one that Rey had.
Yeah, the one that Rey had and the one that Krell had. So that's just another thing that I've seen. And then there's another TV show. It's like or a video game or something. It's like it's based on before episode 1. Like it's called The Old Republic.
Mm-hmm.
Except
the Knights of the Old Republic?
Yeah. So we see, I've seen a picture before of a bunch of Jedi, and in the very back of the picture, you can see a Jedi with one of those hinged lightsabers that's like clicked up.
Mm-hmm. So,
yeah. That's just a few examples, though. So, also, actually, yeah, I think that's it. So, yeah.
Let's talk about Minecraft.
Minecraft? All right.
So you and your brother play a lot of Minecraft.
Yeah, we do.
What is it about Minecraft that you like the most?
I guess that in a way, it kind of teaches you like standard survival skills.
Okay.
Like you spawn into a world where you have to, if you're in survival, you spawn into a world where you have to collect materials and defend yourself from creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you have to build house, you have to build like shelter for yourself, and you have to trade with your enemies. Like piglins, the most common, you have to trade, they're in the Nether. And wandering traders and villagers.
All right, so what's the Nether?
The Nether is basically like a dimension that you have to, the only way you can get through is by making a portal using obsidian. So you stack the obsidian into a portal-like form. Mm-hmm. Standardly, it's 3 blocks high, 2 blocks wide, and then you walk in, and then it teleports you to the Nether. And then basically the Nether is a big red or blue like land covered in lava and fortresses and piglin bases, like I just said. Mm-hmm. And basically what most people go to the Nether is because they have to get to a Nether fortress to get blaze rods from a creature called a blaze, and then you melt the blaze rods into blaze powder, combine them with ender pearls, and you get eyes of ender. And then you look for an underground structure called a fortress, or like an underground structure called a stronghold. And once you find the portal room, you fill all 12 slots with the eyes of ender, and then once all 12 are filled in, it immediately teleports you to the Nether, or the end. So the portal that you fill the eyes of ender in is the end portal.
Okay. And is there a grand goal of Minecraft? Like, can you win Minecraft?
Yes, you can win Minecraft.
How do you win Minecraft?
So basically what I was just saying is you go through the end portal, right, and then there's the final boss. It's called in another dimension called the end. So it's just called the Ender because the end of Minecraft. You beat Minecraft. So there's the Ender Dragon that you have to defeat, and there's lots of there's many obsidian pillar towers, right, that you have to climb, and then at the top there are crystals. Mm-hmm. That you have to destroy the crystals, because the crystals, if you just immediately spawn in and you start shooting or hitting the Ender Dragon, it will just regain its health because it's already because the crystals give it give it more health. It just regains its health from the crystals. So what you're supposed to do is you destroy the crystals, then you start hitting the Ender Dragon. And eventually, when you kill it, then a portal opens to something called an End City. And then the end city normally has like chests at the top. It's like just big floating cities, like a big floating purple city. And at the top of the city, normally there's like special chests and stuff. And there's also called like the end city boat.
Yeah.
So the end city boat normally has a chest below deck that has really, really good items. So normally there's enchanted diamond armor and there's golden apple, like enchanted golden apples and stuff. There's an elytra so you can fly back home. Or at least you can fly back. Like you go through the portal, then you fly back to the portal, and you go home. So, yeah. And then you just beat Minecraft. And you're done.
And then can you continue with all the stuff that you collected in the end?
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess there's really nothing there after.
So it's a gigantic open world, and you just create stuff. But then there is also a quest as you want to get to the Ender Dragon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the quest is to defeat the Ender Dragon and beat the game. But what I don't understand is, once you beat the Ender Dragon and you go back to your world, what do you do after that?
That's the challenge of an open world game. So some of the grown-up games that I play, like the Arkham series with Batman and Assassin's Creed, is once you defeat the main story quest, the game just dumps you out in the open world and you just run around and do whatever you want. And so the fun part is you've got all the power-ups, you're at maximum power, and you've got all the weapons and all the tools and all everything, and you can go and you can basically do whatever you want.
Yep.
But the challenge with that is eventually you run into the same question you just asked, is now what? And that's the challenge with those games. And so some of the games that I downloaded for your Switch have an ending. And the ending is the end. As in, stop playing, go do something else.
You finished. Minecraft is, you beat the Ender Dragon, you go back through a portal, and you're home. Now what?
Right.
You've already like, so you go back home, then you land in the stronghold. You go back to the surface. Now what?
That's one of the challenges of modern games is they don't want you to stop. They want you to continue playing forever. And the challenge with that is all stories have to have an ending. Now, you can end a story and start a new one, but all stories need to end. And so that's one of the challenges of a game like that.
I wish, like, you could beat the Ender Dragon, you go to the end city, you get the special stuff from the end city boat, you go back home, and then it says, like, you go back home, then you arrive, and then boom. Congratulations, so-and-so, you've completed the game. Here is another grand prize, and then it just logs you out.
And they lived happily ever after.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically, it just ends.
Yep.
So, yeah. But that's not what Minecraft is. It's an endless game.
And you really like it.
Yeah.
And now you have multiple ways to play it.
Yeah. Thanks for running Nintendo Switch. By the way, thank you for setting that up.
You're welcome. Well, as your mother would accuse me of, and she's not wrong, the Switch is kind of for me too, because I downloaded all the old Nintendo Entertainment System and Super Nintendo and the Namco library. And for those of you listening at home, the Namco library has Pac-Man, Rolling Thunder, Dig Dug. It's got a bunch of the old, like Galaga. It's got a bunch of the classic games that were referred to as coin-op games. Remember coin-op from Ready Player One?
Yeah.
Coin-operated?
Yeah.
So a coin-op game is you put a quarter in, you play the game, you die, you're done. You got to put another quarter in to continue, or that's it.
Yeah.
And typically they were played on tabletop games, like the ones at Mem and Pep's house.
Yeah.
And you would go to the pizza parlor, and a parent would leave a stack of quarters on the table. And then while the adults had conversation and salads and whatever, waiting for the pizza to show up, the kid would come, grab a stack of quarters or grab one at a time and go off and play these games. And they'd be at the table games. And you'd have things like Dig Dug or Ghosts and Goblins or Galaga or
Pac-Man.
Space Invaders or Pac-Man. Right.
Tron.
Those are all classic Namco games. I don't know about Tron. But they're all classic Namco games. And the idea of you played to hit the high score. Because there was no ending. The game simply went until you reached a predetermined high score. So you can play Pac-Man until you beat all 32 levels. And the reason they've coded 32 levels was either based on the capacity of the memory in the computer, or they just went, we think 32 is enough. And that was how old games were designed. So the Switch is for you, definitely. But the Switch is also for Mom and I, because last night, Mom played Super Mario Brothers for at least 15 minutes. And we probably haven't played Super Mario Brothers since she was your age. But the thing about video games is they're like riding a bike. Once you learn, you always go back.
Yep.
But the reason I like the Switch is it has that portable and docking capability.
Yeah.
And so Mom and I figured out that the next time we go on a long road trip, we can plug the Switch into the car.
Oh.
And you and your brother can play Switch in the car. Now, granted, the screen won't be that big.
And also, you said you could also do the PlayStation in the car.
Yeah, but the PlayStation's big, right?
Yeah.
So you got to hunk that gigantic PlayStation, which plays a disc, which means if you're not playing on the hard drive, that disc can skip if we hit a bump in the road. And so, yes, you can. But with the Switch, it's tinier. It's easier to lock in place. They both hook up HDMI, and they both use the main screen that pops down from the ceiling. The reason I think the Switch might be interesting is the games are different. And so the PlayStation games are a little bit more involved. You're going to have a hard time playing Minecraft on that tiny little screen. But you could do Mario Kart, or you could do a simpler game.
So also what we could do is, you know how we have two controllers and one of them has like this little blue and red sliding things? Mm-hmm. So I could take those and take the Switch pad and connect that to there, and I could play Minecraft on there. And then Cole could take the Plants vs. Zombies little disc, put it into the... Thank you. Put it in... Stop. Put it into the thing. And then
bless you.
And then he could play Plants vs. Zombies on the car screen. Mm-hmm. And then I could just play on the little monitor tablet thing. No,
doesn't work that way.
No?
That Switch, the main Switch screen, that is the entire computer. So if you dock it, it docks to whatever you've got it plugged into. So if we plug it into the car, that's what it docks to. But if you pull it off the dock, that's it. It's self-contained by itself.
You could also use it you could use that as a tablet.
Right. So the reason we didn't get two Switches is because we want you to share. But if one of you doesn't want to play, you can very easily hook those controllers up, and now you've got a portable gaming system.
Yeah.
So you could also get a PSP, which is a PlayStation Portable. Same thing, only it's a PlayStation handheld. But the genius of the Switch is you can't take the PlayStation Portable, detach the controllers, and have two people play. That's the reason we liked it. And the old retro games that Mom and I can still play.
Daddy, other than that, I just want to ask you something. This is my first podcast, a live podcast. So, just how long normally are podcasts you've listened to? Because normally I know you listen to them in the car when you take us to school. So how long are yours normally?
They can be as long as you want them to be. Typically, the ones that I like to listen to are between 20 and 25 minutes or an hour. And there are some, like Joe Rogan, he goes on for 2.5 or 3 hours. That's a very involved, long-form conversation. And the challenge of that is I don't have a 3-hour attention span. I don't want to listen to that. So
you have a 25-minute thing. That's where you listen to
Well, my commute is
Star Trek or whatever.
I listen to Star Talk. Yep. I listen to a lot of news podcasts. I listen to podcasts that talk about law and politics and what's going on in the world. And they typically last between a half hour and 60 minutes because that's my attention span for listening to them.
1 hour, half an hour to an hour.
Because that's my drive to work.
Yeah.
So if I can listen to an episode of a podcast on my drive to work, and then the ones that I do on Thursday nights,
yeah,
those are typically an hour.
Oh,
and
okay.
the idea is you don't want to go more than an hour if you expect somebody to listen to it. And you probably don't want to do less than a half an hour because you want to get enough content in to make it exciting. So your typical podcast is between 30 and 60 minutes, and around 45 is the sweet spot for most people.
Okay.
But this doesn't have to be our only one and done. We can come back and do this on a regular basis if you got something you want to talk about.
I think we might end this soon because I don't have much to talk about.
You all done? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing I got is, what's the biggest thing that you think grown-ups don't understand about the 5th grade?
The 5th grade. What we talk about.
Okay. What is that?
With 5th graders, because once you get in 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, you kind of start getting really lazy and you say, I want to say cuss words and stuff. And I personally never want to say cuss words, and also I'm not allowed to, and I'm fine with that I have friends in 5th grade that don't really say very bad words. Sometimes I kind of slip a little bit at school because I'm with my friends and normally I think it would be and also we talk about we talk about video games and we talk about TV shows, talk about PG 13 movies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about games. We just talk about stuff around our age. We don't talk about horror movies. We don't talk about 3-year-old shows. So
I'll go back to something you said. You said 6, 7, and 8 is when you get lazy. What does that mean? 6,
7, and 8 is where you get inappropriate and you don't listen as much and you get more in trouble. I feel like. Okay. Because I've seen a lot of, and I share the same hallway with 6th grade, and normally when when we're lining up to go somewhere, I see a lot of teachers outside the room talking to one of their students, and sometimes I just not trying to, but sometimes I just overhear them saying why are you acting this way? You shouldn't be acting this way. This is 6th grade. You keep on doing this, you're going to be in very big trouble, or you keep on doing this, you're going to get a detention. So and then 7th grade, of course, 7th grade, especially in the cafeteria a few years ago when I was in 2nd grade, I heard everyone the cafeteria 7th grade was too loud, so the principal tried to quiet everyone down using the microphone, and there were a few kids that were still talking, and she walked over to them. And one of them, after she even shushed all of them, there was one kid who was still laughing, and she said, "Meet me in my office." Oh, the principal's office.
That's the place you definitely don't want to go. What about detention? You know anybody that's been in detention?
There are 2 kids that at my school that get in a lot of trouble a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. I guess they just think they can do whatever they want. Sometimes they just play and stuff. They're normal, and then sometimes on certain days something just snaps and they just start not listening and they start just acting how they want to. And when one of them, normally when her homeroom inflects, normally she's "Please go outside," and he's "But why?" And she's "That's not up for debate." And he says, "Yeah, but I know, but why?"
Well, it's not up for debate.
I know.
Anybody ever told you what happens in detention?
No.
Okay. Usually it's about a half an hour where you sit there.
You sit there and just...
You're kind of put in the corner at school. And then sometimes there's Saturday school, which is a Saturday detention. And that's, you got to sit there for hours.
On a Saturday.
On a Saturday. And maybe you could bring homework. Maybe they'll let you read a book. But a lot of times you just sit there in silence and stare at the wall.
Wow. Good thing I don't act like them because I don't want to get that detention.
Well, I got Saturday school once. I don't recall going to detention very often, if at all, because detention was after school. And it's no, I want to go home. Saturday was
well,
kind of
there's
like...
a lunch detention where you eat lunch in the office.
Okay, I think I've had lunch detentions before.
And there's also like after-school detention. That's probably the most common. Actually, I think lunch detention is probably the most common at our school.
Makes sense.
There is after-school detention, though.
Yeah, I didn't want to do after-school detention because after school was the time. That was when we're out on our bikes and we're exploring and we're doing kid stuff. And you've messed up and you had to stay at school. Nobody wanted to stay at school.
That sounds like the worst.
Saturday was a little different. There were a couple of times in high school where I went in on Saturdays for advanced placement tests. So you study all year, and then you go on a school on a Saturday to take an advanced placement test for a class like history or math or English.
Oh, so it's not really a detention. It's just a special quiz or something.
Well, you were taking a test, but it was at school on a Saturday. And that's kind of like what it felt like, is you got somebody walking around the room making sure you weren't cheating, and you had to write into a booklet. You either had to write an essay or you had to fill out multiple choice questions. And Saturday school was a bit like that, where you're just kind of sitting there doing nothing, and somebody was constantly watching you. And I can see how that would be a deterrent. But what happens is you get too many detentions, too many Saturday schools, you get too many trips to the principal's office, and eventually you get suspended, which means you can't go to school.
So sometimes we get suspended for stuff they do really bad.
Yeah.
And they just, we're like, were you suspended because you weren't here? And he was like, yeah, it was the best. I got to stay home from school and play video games.
It's the best until you have to do the grade over.
Yeah.
And
but then they just keep causing the same mischief.
Yeah. And then if you get in too much trouble, you get expelled.
Which is no more school.
No more school at all. But they don't just say you can't go to school. They send you to what's called a secondary school. And the secondary school is where all the really bad kids are.
I feel like keep this up until 8th grade, they might actually go to a secondary school. Secondary high school or something.
Let's hope they can turn it around. Well, that's all I had, pal. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Then I guess we can close it up because I got to go get dinner prepped because we have our friends coming over later. And I got to go get your brother from baseball camp.
Really? Now?
Yeah. No, but after I'm done prepping dinner and it'll be right around time to go get him. Thank you for joining me today. You want to do this again?
Yeah.
This is fun.
Yeah, this is very fun.
Okay.
I enjoy it. I enjoy talking about like my favorite shows and stuff. Like Clone Wars is one of my all-time favorites.
All right. Well, now you know how to do it, so we'll do it again.
Yeah.
Bye, bud. See you next time.
This place is dead anyway, man.